Alright, so this is the DSLR, actually. Hey Google, Socket 2 aus.
Hey, aber dazu musst du zuerst dein Gerät entsperren.
I hate that shit.
Okay, Socket 2 wird ausgeschaltet.
Oh, I meant that was the camera. I'm an idiot. Okay, that I want to turn that on again. I deactivated the camera. Okay, that was a new mistake. Surprisingly, the Insta still wins. It just looks better, but um, there you go. Yeah. So even through a capture card, it is, as I said, not as good as the Insta360 1R, but it's also a different lens. Unfortunately, I threw it on the ground, the DSLR, when I was setting it up, and like a little piece of plastic broke off the lens, but it's still working. This is the Steam Deck. But yeah, it's another camera in the studio. What would be an interesting or good angle for this camera? This is maybe a bit more close. The focus system is so fucking old school, it's incredible. I don't know yet. I don't know yet why or how. I mean, definitely now you can like record DSLR videos like that. You can just have the DSLR and then like here we have the other perspective. There would be even like another perspective theoretically. How's the zoom? That is like, it is quite narrow. It's an 18-55. So much more narrow than the Insta for sure. It's like slightly like maybe too close. Oops. God. I'm drowning in cables. I'm drowning in cables. Yeah, that also is not too bad. Checkity check yourself. Yeah. Also kind of cool. I guess. You be the judge, but I think it's not too bad. I mean, it's like just another lens, another one. Another camera. And it definitely has a great frame rate now over the capture card. And I can capture anything with the capture card theoretically, but I don't have a dual out HDMI. You need to buy one cable to do it properly. Like from whatever device you're going out, you want to split your HDMI into two. One goes into the capture card, one goes into the TV. If you're using simple solutions, or you have a capture card which has that built in. So it's like that side is the DSLR. It's actually good. I mean, it could be like a tad sharper, I guess. And then the Insta just looks magical. Insta is next level. It looks so good. Oh. Hey Google. Studio One USB on.
Ja, ich werde YouTube Music nutzen.
Oh ja,
Um
genau.
loszulegen, musst du
Man, Google Assistant. It's so bad. It's so bad. Studio One, ja. Studio One und dann Socket USB. Ah, okay. Hey Google. Socket USB anschalten. Aha.
Klar, USB-Switch wird eingeschaltet.
Oh. Okay, I renamed it. Hey Google. Studio USB ausschalten.
Entschuldige,
Oh man.
dieses Gerät.
He sometimes have that if you're just changing the device name, then he needs a moment for some reason to like, you know, get it. Hey Google. Socket, no, oh, fuck, no, I forgot what I actually wanted to say.
Steckdose. Eine Steckdose ist ein elektrischer Anschluss, der in Wänden oder auf Oberflächen installiert wird.
Hey Google. Studio USB ausschalten. Hey Google. Studio USB aus. Oh Mann. It has a way softer image. And yeah, I would love to check it out with PlayStation 3. It looks so much better. This small camera is just better than a DSLR with a capture card. blurry as fuck. It's still slightly blurry. I mean, could be that setting. Yeah, I mean, like this, it's less noisy, but it's like fucking hilariously dark. And I don't want to burn my. Life. Oh no, that is way too orange. Actually wanted it less orange, yeah. First of all, I shouldn't really complain because I got this DSLR for free. And I can also put it. Oops. Hey Google, Socket 3 aus. It just looks so much better. Yeah, you need a DSLR with clean HDMI out. It's still a good image. Hey Google, oh. Socket 3 an. Socket 3 an. Google Assistant, man, it's like fucking hilarious. Somewhat I'm still reddish, like despite like it's already like quite low. I'll need to look into that.
Repeat. Over the... rear
I'm drowning in cables. Looks like Doctor Camera. Doctor Camera.
Hi, today I'm just going to show you how you might be able to use HDMI on some older Canon cameras which are known to not provide a clean HDMI output. This will possibly enable your old Canon EOS device to give you a clean HDMI output. Now, it may or may not be any better than the USB function that allows you to just connect your Canon camera directly to the Mac through eCam. So that's for you to test. But in order to dispel some myths and to give some people an option to enable them to try this out, then this is going to give you that functionality. So firstly, what you'll need is a Canon camera that is compatible, and we'll come to that in a little while. And you need to be a little bit brave, because what we're going to be doing is running a different software on your camera, and that software is called Magic Lantern. Magic Lantern essentially replaces the firmware on your Canon EOS camera, and it was primarily devised.
It actually overrides the firmware, but I'll give him that. Okay.
Lantern.fm, and there's a picture of a Canon camera, which is a little bit reassuring, but what's not reassuring is that it has a rear on your camera, and that launches this mode so you can see some additional features on your camera. If you don't do that, your camera will just work in its normal mode, and you'll probably never really notice that there's anything different, but this gives you an additional range of functionality. So I'm now going to try and show you, once you've loaded that onto your camera, how you get a clean HDMI out. Now, the great thing about the Magic Lantern website is it's now got a fully featured demo which allows you to pseudo click the buttons, and I'm now going to show you where you need to go in order to ensure you get a clean HDMI. Firstly, when you want to launch the Magic Lantern software, you'll go to the delete button. As it says, that's how you open the Magic Lantern menu. If you click it once more, it turns on your normal fully recognized menu system that you'd have on your EOS. If you click it once more, it brings up the Magic Lantern menu from where we will go. Now, the important thing is that the first option that we see here, this global drawer, which is under this menu which has a histogram at the top, that's the one that does your magic for you and removes all of the overlays for your HDMI output. So what you would do to that is, you see it says on all modes. Well, we want to turn that off. So you simply go to the set button on your camera. Now the buttons may be in different places on your camera. So click the set button, and this brings up this off, live view and quick review, and on all modes. We want to turn what we call global draw off. So we simply rotate up to it. You see it's highlighting now to say off, and click the set button. And the important thing is the global draw option. At the moment that says off. If I press the set button and I turn on live view and I press the set button, then it brings all of these on. So essentially global draw is a set of overlays that you can bring onto your screen in the camera if you want to have them. Now basically I don't want those at all. We want a clean output. So what we do here in this situation, we press the set button and click and select the off feature just here. So off turns all of those off. Essentially now that's enough for you to get a clean HDMI output from your Canon camera with Magic Lantern software. A little further along there is a live view setting just here, and I'm going to go and select that, and there's two things. We go to advanced settings, and it's the screen layout that I think might be important to a few people. 16:9 HDMI top and bottom means that you'll get a black line top and a black line on the bottom of the screen to mark out where your 16:9 area is. So I have that turned on. If I give you the other options there and click it, you can see that there's a 3:2, a 16:10, and even a what they call a bottom under 16:9. But anyway, I've got top and bottom here selected, so that's useful to know. Once you've got that set there, leave the clear overlays off, because if you turn clear overlays on, then that will clear that top and bottom marker. Anyway, to come out, you simply press the shutter button halfway, and I'm ready to hit the start stop button just here to record a movie. But you can see this white line here, top and bottom, that is going to mark out the area where a 16:9 video could be taken. Obviously what you then need to do is connect your camera to a HDMI cable, and that will give you a clean HDMI out with those settings. So it's Magic Lantern, and the important one really is to go all the way over to global draw, and make sure global draw is off. So thanks for watching that. I hope that gives you confidence in trying to use the Magic Lantern software on your old Canon camera. It just might bring an old camera to new life and give you some ideas about how you might be able to use it.
Today we're talking about Magic Lantern and how to get the most out of your Canon DSLR. Hello internet world, it's Corey with Real Filmmaking. And if you're a Canon user, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're just frustrated by the lack of some features on your Canon DSLR? I know I have. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Canon. I think they have some of the best color science. I think they have the best autofocus system in the industry, but that doesn't mean that their cameras are without shortcomings, particularly their cameras in the intermediate to entry-level range. Now, there's times as a filmmaker that I can be working with Canon cameras and I'm just like, man, I really wish I had focus peaking or zebras or different things like waveforms to help me get the right exposure for a shot. It just makes filmmaking easier. And as you grow as a filmmaker, these tools are instrumental in certain situations to getting the right type of shot. And so it's frustrating that a Canon camera that I love the color science, I love the focusing systems, doesn't have some of that. Well, never fear, because today I'm gonna talk about how you can kind of get a marriage of the best of both worlds with software called Magic Lantern. Now, Magic Lantern is a aftermarket third-party operating system that basically you download and you load onto an SD card, and it loads from the SD card onto your camera. Now, don't freak out when I'm saying all this stuff. You go to their website, you can find your camera, you can find the build that they're working on, and though Magic Lantern does issue a warning where they say, hey, this is not like approved by Canon, and it's in testing and it's kind of in flux, the amount of stories of bad things happening to people who use Magic Lantern is like 1% of the people who use it. It's really good software. I've had no problems as I've used it on my Canon 60D for over the past year. And I think it brings a set of features to the table that are worth the risk. But obviously there's a risk involved. So know that like as you do it, things can happen, but things really won't happen because it's really good. Magic Lantern as a piece of software, what it does is it loads from the SD card and it basically overrides Canon's OS. It doesn't delete it, it doesn't like mess anything up with your camera, but it overrides it because it loads from the memory card, and it basically gives you a lot more versatility in what you can do with your camera. So much more versatility. So today I wanted to share with you guys some things for getting started with Magic Lantern and some of my favorite settings for video production that have greatly improved the things that I shoot with my camera. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, here we are with my Canon 60D, and then we got my SD card that's got Magic Lantern loaded on. So I'm just gonna pop that in here real quick. All right, and now we're in Magic Lantern. So if we hit the trash can icon, we get to see all the menus that Magic Lantern has. There's a lot of stuff in here. And I'm not gonna go through everything, but I'm gonna show you guys a couple of the things that I find very helpful in video production. Specifically for me, I would encourage you guys to get the software, check it out. Lots of stuff to explore, and you can learn more, and there's so many things that you can do with Magic Lantern. It's kind of overwhelming. Just basic thing, if we're back out in the shooting mode, you can see there's the normal Canon OS. Like I told you, Magic Lantern doesn't delete anything, it just overrides the Canon OS. So you can see I'm back in normal like Canon OS. If you hit the info button, it cycles through the normal Canon menus. You know, you see the stuff, but then if you keep hitting info, you get the Magic Lantern OS screen. So that's kind of handy, you know, if there's some Canon features you want to take use of, but after you see Magic Lantern, you're going to be like, why would I want to go back? So anyway, let's get into it. We'll start with audio. So audio is really important with DSLR cameras. The mics that are built into them suck. They're just not good. So being able to have different audio sources is a must when you're doing filmmaking. So I've talked about this and other stuff, like having shotgun mics are really good. And most DSLRs, even entry-level ones, have inputs for shotgun mics, but most DSLRs don't have headphone jacks, which that's frustrating. So there's no good way to monitor your audio. Like some of the things that everywhere. So like a monitor screen is everywhere. And the zebras, like I told you, they show you in your shot what is exposed correctly and what's incorrectly exposed. And so right now I have it set up so my zebras are in red and they highlight everything that is overexposed. And so let's say I was shooting this shot and I was like, oh, things look good, except I've got zebras there. I can now compensate whatever I need to do. So if I want to be at ISO 800, crank down the shutter, and all of a sudden the zebras are gone. So that's a super helpful tool, especially when you're outside. It's really helpful to be able to have some way to see like what's blown out, what's overexposed, what's underexposed. I really love it. Focus peaking is probably my favorite feature from Magic Lantern. So for those of you that don't know, sometimes when you're shooting video, pulling focus is extremely difficult. Now Canon, like I mentioned earlier, has a great dual pixel autofocus system, but if you have to shoot manual and pull focus, it can be really hard sometimes to get it exactly right or to see the details of something. It's like, is that in focus? It looks like it on this tiny monitor, and then you bring it back to your computer and you're like, that was not in focus. So focus peaking really helps with that. So the way focus peaking works is, as you can see, there's outlines of things right now in this composition that I have. Let's see, where are we at? Oh yeah, I cranked it down. Okay, now we're super overexposed. What is going on? Oh, my ISO. I'm like, what is happening? Okay, so focus peaking works by outlining things that are in focus and things that are not in focus. So if you're in Magic Lantern right here, you can hit the Q and it can show you the different parameters of what you want. So right now I have mine set to balance. You can set fine details and it has a little description that tells you things, or you could set strong edges. So usually I leave mine unbalanced. It gives me a good in between if I'm shooting people. Like it helps to make sure they're in focus and eyes and stuff. If I'm shooting something like really tight, like close-ups on things, I will, no. It is a struggle right now. But if I'm shooting like people or doing interviews and stuff, sometimes I will kick it down to fine details, especially eyes. Getting eyes in focus is so important. So I'll switch it to that, but for most of the time I use it balanced. And so we're back here and we can see that as I move the focus ring, different things come into focus. So right now the audio interface is in focus and you can see it. I have my outline set to like a red focus peaking, and so you can see exactly.
Actually, I can use focus peaking.
And now I move focus more back to focus. I hit the magnify button, filming.
Okay, PARANDROID out.